Hello, CHS Parents. My name is Dr. Dustin Houghton. Your kids know me as Dr. Houghton or Dr. H, and I'm their AP Biology teacher this year. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch my video, learn a little bit more about me, a little bit more about my teaching, and what your kids can expect this year in AP Biology, and let's go ahead and get right into it. So I do like to start out by just getting you guys a little bit of information on me. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Biology from Valparaiso University. I went on to do a biotechnology master's degree at Indiana University down in Bloomington, and then I did a PhD at Purdue University in their School of Agriculture. I was in the Botany and Plant Pathology program. My degree is in weed science, and my thesis was on the management of invasive species in natural ecosystems here in Indiana, endangered tallgrass prairies, actually. After that, I did work as an agronomist for an ag company for about a year. And so I've got lots of both industry and research experience that I get to share with your kids this year. But I've been at CHS for 7 years. This is my 8th year teaching at CHS and my 4th year teaching AP Biology. I have taught general biology, botany, ecology. I was in the Project Lead the Way program for a while, teaching principles of biomedical science. But now AP Biology is the only class that I teach. It's my favorite class that I teach. And so I'm very excited to be able to do that with your kids this year. I was nominated as one of the Teachers of the Year last year, which is pretty cool. Thank you very much to all of my students and the community members who nominated me. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to try to bring that level of excellence again this year to your kids, okay? Couple hobbies and a little bit about me personally. I am married. My wife is an ER doctor with IU Health, and we have 4 kids. You may have heard. We had a new one recently, and there's an updated picture of the whole family. But yeah, my wife is an emergency medicine physician. I've got an 8-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son who go to Prairie Trace Elementary. My 2.5-year-old daughter there in front of me, and then our newest member. And so that's Gemma and Warren are the oldest 2, and then Grace and Georgia are the youngest 2. I've also got a couple pets. That's our our Great Dane, Burmese Mountain Dog, Husky Coonhound mix right there, Rosie, and then our cat Tiny down there, who is not a big fan of Rosie, but they get along for the most part. And then just a little bit more, I enjoy nature. Obviously, I'm a trained ecologist. I love reading a good book, either a science book or something like a science fiction, fantasy books. I like those. I played tennis and I played soccer most of my life, and then I love cooking and baking. Got into that about 4 or 5 years ago now, and it's something that I really enjoy. All right, let's get to the class. All right, enough about me and my family. What are your kids going to learn this year? So the year is broken down into 7 units, 3 this semester, and then 4 units next semester. Obviously, we have the AP Biology exam at the end of the year. That will be the culmination of all this stuff. But we're starting with evolution. We actually just started that this week. And then biochemistry and cells. We'll follow up with cell energetics. And that's going to round out the first semester. First semester, I think, tends to be the more difficult of the 2. So we want to make sure we get off, making on a good foot, taking notes, watching our lectures, and doing things we should be doing. Second semester, I think, tends to be a little bit more fun for the kids. We get into genetics, both the cellular processes like mitosis and meiosis, heredity and inheritance, as well as gene expression, and then cell communication and neurons. And we end with ecology, which is one of my favorites. The kids tend to like that one too. But it's a lot of information. We go through a lot of stuff in this class. I use, if they haven't told you, a partially flipped model, okay, for my classroom, which means I send your kids home with very small lectures to watch. We come back and we do activities with that information. And then we do a little more lecture in class, and then we do more hands-on activities. Then I send them home with another little bit of a lecture, right? And so because we have to cover so much material, and because the AP Biology exam is the very first exam this year for AP, we have to break up, or I had to find a way to break up the material, and so that I could get your kids to engage with the material more. And I've been doing this this will be my 3rd year using this kind of flipped classroom model, or partially flipped classroom model, and I found that it is really, really successful. Just so you know, The last 2 years that I've used this model, I have had 97% pass rates on the AP exam. And so we found a lot of success. Even the year before that, it was still 93%. But we're seeing improvement. The kids really enjoy this because they come in every single day and they get to start with an activity, right? They don't start with me lecturing at them about some concept. We get to review material together and work with it together and ask questions and things like that. And then we'll go into some lecture because that's unavoidable. But yeah, so I found that this model works really, really well to get through all of this material in a way that makes it much more engaging for your kids. The other kind of core thing that we're working on here is developing their critical thinking skills. I propose a lot of critical thinking questions to them during those activities and things with the partially flipped model. But we want to, teach your kids what it means to think like a scientist, be curious about the natural world, try to connect the things that they're learning in class to the phenomena that they see in their everyday lives, develop those critical thinking and problem-solving skills, continue to develop them since they are juniors and seniors, and then increasing their analytical toolkits by providing them with new tools to understand the world or process data or even just think of questions that they might be interested in. Couple of logistic things here. Grading practices, we use a weighting system in AP Biology. 80% of their grade is going to be summative grades and 20% formative grades. The summative grades come primarily from their exams. This semester, it's 3 exams and then a couple of larger quizzes. Next semester, it's 4 exams. I don't think we have any quizzes next semester, but we do have a project that they're going to do next semester, and that'll be another large summative grade. And so most of their grade is coming from the exams. I do everything that I possibly can to get your kids prepared for these exams. I give them, here, let me grab it really quick. For every unit, they get a full booklet of just practice materials. This is not stuff that I grade. This is stuff that they can use to review and practice. And I post answer keys. I do review sessions. AP Biology is the only class that I teach. And so every session could be a review session for your kid in terms of SSRT. We'll do in-class review. And again, I will try to do everything I can to make sure your kids are ready, but obviously they're going to need to put in some effort as well for those exams. The rest of the grade, the other 20%, is the formative assessments. That's things like homework and labs, classwork, content quizzes, which are smaller quizzes, any presentations or discussions that we do, things like that. That's all in-class stuff, including the lectures I send your kids home with. This is really, really important. It is important that they watch the lectures. They're very small. I try to keep them to 15 minutes or less. They're usually around 10 to 12 minutes, and it's very, very basic information. But if they're not coming to class having watched those, they're not going to be prepared for what we do in class, and they won't be prepared when we step it up and have more complex lectures in class that builds on those out-of-class lectures. And so, I try to make sure that they're watching it, but I would encourage you to make sure that they're watching their lectures and taking their notes and things as well, okay? All right, the late work policy, I accept late work up until the unit exam for a unit with no late fees. So if they get busy, they don't get something done, they can turn it in up until the unit exam, and I won't put any late fees on it. But after the unit exam, it does become a 0. I won't accept any homework from any unit after they've taken the exam on it. There are obviously exceptions for things if they speak to me or if you speak to me, and so we can talk about that if that comes up. But that is the general policy. And then there are exam reassessments. After each exam, students will have an opportunity to do a take-home assignment to get a reassessment, essentially. That reassessment has the potential to raise their grade via a curve, and so they won't be like taking another test. They'll be completing a reassessment, which requires them to kind of think about the things that they are doing in terms of the content areas that they missed, stuff like that, and that will then raise their grade via a curve. So really, the better you do the first time on the exam, the better you can do with the curve in terms of the reassessment. So it really is beneficial to try to do the best you can on the exams. Everything that I do, everything, in class, out of class, that your kids do, everything is on Canvas. And so I'm going to click this link really quick and load this up here. This is our class Canvas page, right? It has a module for every single day in class. And so on the modules page, you can see I provide all of I record every single lecture, whether it's an out-of-class lecture or an in-class lecture. Every single lecture and the lecture slides are posted for kids to go back to and read. There's all the materials for our first unit and answer keys for things that we do in class and out of class. Every single day, We have a module that says what we do in the briefing, and then all of the materials for that day, any homework assignments for that day. Try to keep it super organized and easy for your kids to find this stuff so that they feel supported and prepared for things that we do in class. You guys can check this out if you have access to Canvas as well. This is really kind of the central hub, the modules page, but obviously there's the assignments page and things like that as well, where their assignments are posted. Pretty standard stuff overall in terms of Canvas, I'd say. But I do try to make sure that that modules page has everything that we do and is super organized for your kids. So if you ever have any any questions on that stuff, you can reach out to me if you're looking for something on Canvas, let's say, and you can't find it. And that brings me to my how to reach me, because I've probably already gone over time, and I know that there's a lot more that I could tell you, and I want to tell you about the class, and I'm excited to share with you and your kids this year. But I don't want you to sit here for 45 minutes. So if you have any other questions, you can email me at my work email address right there. I do have prep periods on Gold Day in the first period and Blue Day in the fourth period, so I'm free to talk during those times most of the time. Although, if you would like to speak or meet, I do request that you reach out to me via email first, so we can schedule a time for a phone call or a Zoom, or schedule a meeting, and that way we could set something up and I can get it on my calendar and I can make sure that I can talk and address any concerns that you guys have, right? I feel like there's probably some stuff I left out there just in terms of how things are going to work, but I'm really excited to be working with your kids this year. I really do love teaching this class and love sharing my passion for biology with your kids, and I'm excited to do that this year and hopefully inspire them to think a little bit differently and more critically about the natural world around them. Okay, thank you again for watching this video, and have a great night, everybody.